Hello, welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following my channel as I explore the wide world of pens. And it is a wide world of pens. And I know my exploration seems to focus on pens from a particular country, but they intrigue me. They are definitely affordable, and there seems to be a phenomenal amount of variety and uniqueness in the pens that are made. So you see the outer covering of a box, and why I have this is a long involved story. We'll try to make it short. When we went to Zoom with one of my local pen groups, when the pandemic was upon us, one of the pen nerds talked about a pen that he bought on Amazon, and I was intrigued by it. It was a Jinhao, came in a beautiful wood box, very ornate pen, a lot of history behind it. So I was always looking for those, but I wasn't willing to pay the going rate on Amazon. Here's an example of one of those. So when I was exploring the lettering on the Hung Dion nib, did some searches on eBay, and this pen popped up. Here's the auction. The price was excellent, and it was sourced from United States, in fact, New Jersey, the state that I live in. So I bid on it, won the auction at a low price. Pen arrived in a few days, and it is all that I expected it to be. So we're going to explore this pen, talk a little bit about the history. I can't pronounce the name. Zhuge Liang is a military person in the early parts of China. So let's take a look at this. Let's explore it, and let's talk about it. On one side of the outer sleeve is this label, which I think is just primarily an inventory label. Nothing really significant. This Chinese here at the top, I'll show you what that translates to, which is basically what's down below it in English. There's no mistaking, it's a Jinhao. The box inside the sleeve is very impressive, heavy duty. It's hard to show you that amazing amount of engraving on there. It is a very highly lacquered box, very reflective. Nice brass hinges. If we open up the box, we'll see a lot of material. This is like a warranty card. It's a lifetime warranty. This is a card that says they'll donate to a local charity, which I thought was interesting that that was a part of this pen. Now we have a Jinhao Booklet. I had to rearrange myself. And this is your classic, heavy-duty, nicely done. We'll give you a translation, at least as best as I could do of that. You know, there's a lot of pens shown in this booklet. And they are very similar. At least they seem to have the same type of clip. They may come with a little bamboo insert, which we'll see in a little bit. This is very typical of what you would find with Visconti, Pelican, Mont Blanc. You know, they give you a booklet talking about other pens. Obviously, if you bought this one, you might be interested in some of the other pens. I'm pretty certain this was a series that they did. All of them probably have some specific historical reference. A lot of boxes, you know, and a lot of differences. And it goes on. But as we get towards the back, we'll see some English. And they talk about the various pens. You know, they separate a couple of them. And then it talks about fountain pen cleaning, cleaning the surface, filling, different ways of filling. And they talk about silk screening, so I guess you could personalize them. And here we have the warranty in English and Chinese. So that's a nice book. The underside of the lid of the box is also heavily engraved. Not a language I can read or translate, but it certainly adds to the significance of the box. And you can see those nice brass hinges which are used for the box. Very high-end, very nicely done. This is a bamboo, like accordion type piece. I'm not going to take it out. It's somewhat fragile. I mean, I don't think it's that fragile, but it's all engraved with Chinese characters. You know, that's probably the caricature of the person represented by this pen, and we have the pen. You know, we have that nice little label there which talks about Jinhao, and obviously you know, high-end pens all have labels on them, and we see a very attractive, maybe depending upon your definition of what attractive is, pen. It's certainly a substantial pen in the hand. We have those nice ruby eyes. We've seen that dragon clip before. We've seen that finial before. It's a pop-off. That section is the same chiseled brass that's been gold-plated. You know, we'll see a interesting two-tone nib. Very nicely done. Obviously identified. I forgot to switch over lights when I was trying to photograph the lacquer box that had a lot of reflection on it. So this time we got a lot of light coming in so we can really show off the detail of this pen. And you can hear it. It is metal. It does fit in the hand okay, and it's not that heavy if you just use it unposted. And as we probably gathered from the way that barrel is designed, it does post, not very deep, and it does significantly backweight the pen. That cap is heavy, but it is secure, kind of. So I would definitely write with this unposted. And the knurling on that section just works just right to give you enough texture. Let's compare it to some other pens. Yes, this pen deserves a time on the turntable. And it is, you know, impressive. Certainly not for everyone's taste, but definitely a desk pen of significance if that's how you want to use it. I think we just need to zoom in a little bit to appreciate some of the detail and see how the light reflects off of that surface of the pen. We may not catch the ruby eyes from this angle, but they're certainly there and serve a nice function. Here we have the Jinhao gift pen, disassembled. So they put a upscale converter in it. You know, a nice soft silicone insert in there, metal band, moves up and down very easily. I haven't tried to take it apart, but it does unscrew, so it's easy to take apart. And it is a branded converter. Kudos for that viewpoint. This is a standard Jinhao number 6 steel nib with that very popular 18 karat gold plate finish. It is two-tone. That engraving is in a silver rhodium color. Section has some good weight to it, and that same intense knurling that's done on it. You know, that's really the feature of this pen. and I think the light is bringing that out quite nicely. Of course, the dragon eyes are also the other feature. So let's look inside that cap with the LED. We just have some faint incandescent light around, and the camera has trouble focusing in low light, especially up close like this, but I'm pretty certain that light is bringing out that intense design aspects of this pen. We've seen that finial at the cap on a few other dragon style pens. We look inside, we'll see a full cap liner. There's a little bit of metal there at the top, which I'm assuming is brass, which is probably a threaded piece that attaches that cap liner, and that finial and everything all fits together. But definitely a desk pen. Use that dragon to intimidate visitors. Here are the two pens I would compare to the Jinhao historical pen. This one I bought early in my YouTube days, and we'll give you a link to the video review of these two pens. These both have that same stylized dragon clip. This one is a Lambda 2, so it's done differently. The cap finial is the same, just like the clip is the same. The ruby eyes are the same, and all of these have ruby eyes. It seems to be a necessary design attribute of this type of pen. They're all pretty heavy. We'll give you those weights. No light weights here. This pen really attracted me. It was very low cost. That's actually like a brass wire that's inlaid in there to give you those characters. Nice dragon down here on the barrel. You know, this is not quite of the same quality, but still visually very attractive. I like the red and the gold combo. And this one is pretty much over the top. You know, interesting engraving there. Not really a cap band because it's all metal. So that's what we have. Let's look at the Nibben section. This design posts, but not very deeply. The caps are heavy, so it does backweight the pen. I mean, they do look nice posted, but that doesn't add to the writing experience, and they are fairly long. The Jinhao sections are very similar, even though they're made out of different materials. The Lambda 2 has a different section on it. The Lambda 2 also has a much smaller nib, but the Jinhao nibs are definitely fairly ornate. So I try to get some different lighting here. And the original one I got has a very nice engraving on the nib. I mean, none of these nibs are boring. They certainly are indicative of the higher end nature of these pens. Decided that this ink is going to go into the Jinhao pen. I use this ink occasionally. It never quite worked as well as I'd hoped it would work. Expected more shading, and I don't know. It just doesn't strike me as bronze. I see a little bit of green in there, but that's not my expertise, is picking out that type of color. The chromatography is definitely interesting. We got some pink, some red, some green, and some blue. So a phenomenal, interesting combination of colors to make this final color of the ink. It was easy to get a fairly full fill, which I like. You know, there's no spring, there's no agitator. So this was done by using this up and down 3 times. The first time you come up, it's about half full. Then you go back down again. More air comes out. You bring it back up, and it's pretty full. To me, I flushed clean, but I also do the 3 up and downs to make certain ink saturates everything and flush out anything that might still be left after my cleaning. Well, I inked it up and spent some time writing with the Jinhao, and spoiler alert, it writes extremely well. One would expect that with a higher level Jinhao pen, but it's always surprising when you get something that writes nicely right out of the box. Pop off cap and it pops off relatively easily. I think it's the right amount of tension. It fits fine in the hand, feels good in the hand. It is a heavy pen, but with that metal section, that weight is more balanced towards the nib, which is what I like. We'll give you the dimensions of that section. It's about as small as I'm comfortable with. I don't mind that metal section in this pen because of this chiseling pattern. The grip is fine. It's not slippery. There is a step up which you do feel, but it's not sharp. So if you want to hold it away from the nib, you can. We'll give you the weights of the various bits and parts. It's not a light pen. And as we showed, it does post, but that cap is heavy and it significantly backweights the pen, and it takes away from, I think, an excellent balance that you have with it unposted, and makes it certainly back heavy and takes weight off the nib end, which to me lessens the writing experience. Let's see how that bronze ink works in this pen. This nib is smooth as any nib I've used, but not glassy smooth. You get a touch of feedback, which is just the right amount of feedback on this Fabriano paper. I call it a medium. It's not marked, but based on this line size, I would say it's in that Eastern medium category. It's certainly not a very fine or extra fine nib, and it's no bigger than a medium, so we're going to call it a medium. I'm a firm believer in first impressions, and this was a great writer the first time this nib touched paper. It glides. It puts down a nice line. It's not overly wet. It's not a soft nib, but you know, you put a little bit of pressure on it, it opens up and puts down more ink, as you can see. Not a nib that you're going to be doing that with, but it's just a pleasure to use. Could easily be an everyday carry, but with this weight, certainly not something that most people are going to carry around or put in a shirt pocket or things like that. You know, I could be mesmerized by that nice chiseling, that effect that they have done with the metal of the pen, which is nice. So now we're going to rate this pen. And I'm going to give it an 8.9. And it gets one check for the nib. And I'm going to give it a check for the design, because for what the design is, it's done well. Not necessarily a design that I would seek out, but I got to give it credit for that. I give it an 8.9 because it's not going to be a pen I'm going to use every day. I may do a few letters with it. I may or may not refill it once this ink gets exhausted from the pen, but I certainly will enjoy it for that period of time, and then it'll become part of my collection. You know, I need more Dragon pens. So we've reached the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. You know, I do these videos for me mostly, but it's nice that you, the viewers, also seem to enjoy it. At least some of you do. And that's good. I enjoy the comments. I enjoy the feedback. I enjoy the interaction. And I enjoy my pens more because I spend time doing a video, which makes me focus on a lot of aspects of the pen, which I may not have focused on if I wasn't doing the video. So I hope you find a pen that you enjoy writing with. If you're a person that does have a desk, and this might work very, very well as a desk pen for you, a signature pen, as sometimes they were referred to back in the day. I wish all of you are safe, healthy, and happy, and taking time to enjoy your pens and put ink on paper. If you've reached the end of this video, you notice how that nib always starts up, no skipping. Again, it's a very good nib. We're going to say bye until the next video. Yep, I know, got to keep the nib on paper. Bye.